The town that our lovely trio comes upon in episode 3 of Samurai Champloo was originally the turf of the Yakuza group known as the Kawara Gang, which is run by a fellow known as Hitaro the Buddha. Although the gang was a Yakuza group, the town lived in peace for a long time, as Hitaro was a kind man who wanted to protect the town and the people living in it. However, this peaceful time was broken when another Yakuza group showed up, known as the Nagatomi Gang, run by Rikaiki Nagatomi. The Nagatomi gang started to take over the town little by little by rigging gambling games and using the debt that the townsfolk racked up in these games to take over their businesses and their land. By the time our trio shows up, the Nagatomi gang has taken over most of the town, and Ishimatsu, a former Kawara gang bodyguard, has joined Rikaiki's gang because he believes Hitaro and the Kawara are weak. When Rikaiki sees Mugen take on his men, he offers Mugen a partnership because he believes Mugen's strength is similar to his own. Mugen accepts the partnership and begins to work as Rikaiki's bodyguard. However, Rikaiki sees Mugen as more than just hired muscle, and as he tells Ishimatsu later, Mugen is his business partner. When Mugen asks why Rikaiki doesn't just destroy the Kawara, as they are very weak at this point, Rikaiki says, "That's the old way of doing things. You don't crush opponents. You declaw them and take them over. Think about it. If we started a big fight with them and people became afraid of us in town, we'd lose our customers. And if we caught the attention of the government, we'd have trouble even doing business. That's why I take them over using legal means." Meanwhile, Jin hires himself as the bodyguard of Sosuke Kawara, the son of Hitaro the Buddha, and proceeds to help Sosuke get the IOU for Ozu back from Rikaiki's men, who the Nagatomi gang were planning to take so she could pay off her father's debt. However, in doing this, Sosuke and Jin unknowingly raise the tension between the two groups, and Rikaiki takes Ozu away to the brothel. When asked by Sosuke on why they can't just raid the Nagatomi, Hitaro says, "An eye for an eye. That's how they do things. That's why I've held my peace all this time. If we went now, we'd be playing into their hands. Anger only gives rise to further anger. It's a cycle that never ends." In short, if the Kawara gang attacked the Nagatomi, Rikaiki would use that as an excuse to legally take over the rest of the town and push out the Kawara, so Hitaro keeps the peace. As we can see, both Hitaro and Rikaiki both have their reasons for not attacking or confronting one another, and so an uneasy peace is kept between the two gangs. However, many of the Kawara gang are at the end of their ropes, and Sosuke flat out disobeys his father and goes with Jin to rescue Ozu, exactly as Rikaiki thought he would. Jin and Mugen inevitably get into a fight at the brothel, and some of Rikaiki's men are killed by Mugen, but ultimately, Rikaiki doesn't care at all about the men that Mugen killed, which Itsumatsu cannot understand. After the scuffle at the brothel, Mugen gets pissed at Rikaiki because his men interrupted his fight with Jin, but Rikaiki is like, "Now that everyone has seen your strength, nobody will dare go against me." Basically, since Rikaiki has someone strong under his control, someone who is stronger than everyone else, nobody will mess with him. He has the power to control other people, and with this power, he can do whatever he wants essentially. However, this control over others relies on keeping the strong under his belt, by either making sure their goals align with his, or by allowing them to do as they please. Unfortunately, Mugen doesn't give a rat's ass about that kind of power, as he is only interested in believing in his own skill, so he just dips out of there. On his way out, Ichimatsu tells him he used to think the same as Mugen, but he has come to understand that the world doesn't work like that, and sometimes you gotta do things that you don't agree with, which Mugen calls a load of bullshit. While that's going on, Sosuke sees two Nagatomi members trying to mess around with Ozu, and so he goes up behind one of them and stabs him in the back, killing him. But, in the process, ends up getting captured and putting his father in a terrible position. Hitaro goes to see Rikaiki in order to make amends for Sosuke's actions, and Rikaiki proposes that they act like Yakuza and settle the conflict in a gambling match. If Hitaro wins, Sosuke gets to live and he returns to his family, but at the price of Rikaiki taking all of the Kawara gang's land. If Hitaro loses, Sosuke has to pay for what he has done with his own life. So, as you can see, it's kind of a lose-lose situation, as either way, Hitaro loses something in the end. And if you remember from earlier, Rikaiki rigs these games, so he always wins, which means Rikaiki can decide whatever outcome he wants. Rikaiki knows this, and Hitaro knows this. And so in the name of fairness, Hitaro says he will provide the dice roller, and Rikaiki will provide the dice, which means Rikaiki can't rig the game. But Rikaiki accepts this anyways, which again baffles Ishimatsu. He asks Rikaiki why he would ever accept those conditions, as Rikaiki had the upper hand in the negotiations, as it was Hitaro's son that had committed the wrongdoing. And Rikaiki simply tells him that the dice roller will never show up. Hitaro and Jin have a nice little chat in the rain, where we find out that Hitaro wasn't always the caring and kind man that we know him as, and he used to be very violent, but he lost a lot of friends and family, so he doesn't wish to see any more bloodshed in his life. Despite all of the people he has lost, he kept running the Kawara gang in order to look after outlaws, people who can't get by in a normal society and won't be accepted by anyone else. The Kawara gang is a safe haven and a home for these type of people, and they essentially become Hitaro's family. Both parties arrive at the gambling house and present their wagers. However, the dice roller is late, and Rikaiki is like, he sure is late. I wonder what could be causing this terrible delay. And Hitaro has this face where he's like, I know what you're fucking doing, so you better count yourself lucky that I can't prove it, or you would be done for. Rikaiki offers to provide his own dice roller if Hitaro's doesn't show, but suddenly, a wild Fu appears and acts as the dice roller. She rolls the dice, and Rikaiki calls odd. Hitaro calls even. The dice is unveiled, and it rolled 2-5, which is odd, meaning that Rikaiki won, and Sosuke must pay for his crime with his life, which was not the outcome that Rikaiki wanted. However, Hitaro states that he didn't even want to win in the first place, and he won't just allow Rikaiki to take his land, so he will pay for Sosuke's crimes with his own life. With that, he stabs himself and ends the conflict between the two gangs. Or so he thought. Rikaiki begins to laugh maniacally and states that he will just take the land by force, and that Hitaro was a fool who died for nothing. He then grabs Sosuke and prepared to slit his throat when Mugen busts in and starts kicking ass, which starts a fight between the two gangs. Rikaiki says, "Fuck this," and runs away, but Ishimatsu chases after him. Rikaiki tells him to go kill the Kawara, but Ishimatsu just stabs Rikaiki in the fucking stomach and kills him, stating, "You never trusted me or anyone else. All you had faith in was your money." This was unlike Mugen, who only trusted himself and his own skill and power. Rikaiki trusted money and the power to control people, which ended up failing him and causing his eventual downfall and death. Rikaiki's death effectively brought an end to not only the Nagatomi gang, but also to the conflict that had been plaguing the town for so long. Sosuke inherited his father's position, and as his father would have done, he offers Ishimatsu a place among the Kawara. However, Ishimatsu declines and departs to fight Mugen so he doesn't become like Rikaiki and so that he can atone for his crimes. Ishimatsu does fight Mugen. However, it is a short duel and Ishimatsu loses his life. But ultimately, he knew he would probably die and accepted it as part of his atonement. And so, the two bodyguards and the one-time dice roller depart from their town on their quest to find the Sunflower Samurai, promising the newly elected Yakuza leader that they will return, but only after their journey has been completed.
guess this is the end. Looking back, my life has been nothing but failure. The tale of Jiraiya the Gallant.